All right. Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Just Drop podcast, where we discuss movies, TV shows, and entertainment news. I'm your host, Ridge Nar, self-proclaimed movie buff from 1995 and on. I'm here with my friends and co-hosts, the personality himself, Thurman McKelvin. Thurman, why don't you introduce yourself?
What's going on, y'all? My name is Thurman, a.k.a. Therm, a.k.a. the myth, the man, the legend. Just kidding about that last part. I do like to say, I wouldn't say I'm a movie buff, but I like to watch movies and shows and share that with people that don't have time to get around to it. So excited to be here, man. And I'd like to say movies from 2000 forward. I don't know about the 90s, but yeah, and I'll hand it over here to my main man, John.
Thanks. How's it going, everybody? Name's John Jones, not to be confused with Martian Manhunter or the mixed martial artist. I like movies from pretty much all eras. Not so much in I'd say post black and white. I'm not too big into the pre black and white movies. So anything in the 70s and onwards, I'm pretty down with.
The 70s, damn.
I've seen it. You know, I have to find a movie that was maybe based off of an older movie and then go back and watch that. That's usually how I get into movies.
The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah. Westworld.
The Fly.
Would be a good example. John, I so badly wanted to give you a nickname. I wanted to just, I wanted to call you the Tig Notaro impersonator. But I also wanted to call you the worst Abraham Lincoln impersonator as well.
It doesn't work as well when I don't have a kind of a longer beard.
Oh yeah, if you had a long beard and a top hat, you just look like you're about to give us the Gettysburg Address. Anyway, all right. Well, thanks, gentlemen, for the intros. And we've got a bunch of, I think they're exciting topics to talk about today. This was postponed a little bit, so I've been eager to jump into it. So I'm glad we're able to record it finally. Little disclaimer up front, for some of these earlier topics, we are going to do our best to try to avoid spoilers, but they may happen when we get into some of the bigger topics. We'll make sure to have sections. So I want to jump into the first topic. Thurman, I think this one might be something that you're excited about. We're going to jump into Love, Death, Robots, Season 2. So, yeah, let's jump into it. I want to try to do a spoiler-free section if we can, and let's just jump into our thoughts, and Thurman, I'll let you kick it off.
Perf, man. So Love, Death, Robots, it's what we call an anthology, a series of different shows that don't really correlate to one another, but they're just really all around fun to watch. And I was kind of disappointed because, you know, you watch the first season and I mean, you get 18 episodes compared to the 8, I believe that comes in season right. 2. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, I was not impressed with season 2. There was probably maybe 1 or 2 of those episodes that I actually enjoyed. The rest of them just kind of seemed like Love, Death, Robots was reaching. And for as long as they made us wait for a volume 2, I kind of wasn't impressed and also very disappointed at how little there was of the amount of episodes in this one. But yeah, less than half.
Which I was actually surprised by it. To be honest, I finished watching the 8th episode, and it just started over back at season 1, episode 1, and I was like, oh, sweet, are we getting like a take 2 from that other really popular? And then I was like, no, this is just the same episode. Like, what the heck's going on? And I realized that I'd watched the whole season just really, really easy. John, did you get to watch a lot of it?
I think I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes of season 2. I didn't see season 1, so I didn't have anything to compare it to.
That's actually a good angle, I think, though.
But I mean, the from what I saw, the animation was really interesting. Like, it was really well done. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like the old like Final Fantasy movie, The Spirits Within, like that kind of uncanny valley realism. But yeah, overall, it was good. I felt like they tried a little bit too hard to be kind of like edgy. It's like, oh, we're gonna swear as much as possible because this is for adults. It's not cartoon for kids.
Yeah, you know, that's actually a really interesting point, because I took a note of a review that I was reading. I went on Rotten Tomatoes and I was just looking through and trying to see what people thought. And it's funny that you said the word edgy because I'm going to read you this quote. It's I'm going to butcher this name, but it's from Petrana Radulovic. This person does reviews for Polygon. And I'm just going to read like sort of the overview. It says less edgy and violent, comparing it to season one, trading in gratuitous nudity and gore for poignant storytelling. It's more mature this time around and less messed up, which makes for stronger viewing. So it's interesting that you say that, because I think one of the reasons I really loved season one was how edgy and how gory and how gratuitous it was. And I think aside from the fact that I got way less of it, I think that is kind of where I felt like season two fell short. It was. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do identify with that. How it says it's trying to be poignant. I did feel like this felt a little pretentious, like over serious. Like maybe the first season, because I didn't see it, but maybe it felt like it was just over the top with the gore and the nudity and stuff. So it didn't. So maybe it didn't feel like it took itself as seriously as I feel that the episodes that I watched did.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right, and I think that might be that's probably a really good point as to why I enjoyed it as season one as much as I did, and maybe didn't like season two as much, because I just I like cartoons, but I can't watch like Hey Arnold, I mean, I'm an adult, so like I do like the fact that I get something like anime or something like this where I can watch it. It's a cartoon, there's animation, and it allows for the world to be ridiculous and over the top, and then they can just explore that. So whether it's, I mean, cartoon nudity is a bit odd, but aside from that, I mean, gratuitous violence, just like crazy stories. There's an episode that I know Thurman really likes this episode from the first season. I can't think of the name of the episode.
Beyond the Aquila Rift.
Is that that's the one with the hand, right?
I like that one too.
What was that called?
That's my number 2. I've got that one.
So there's I mean, it's season one, so this isn't really a spoiler, but John, there's an episode, and I honestly can't even remember the exact situation, but it's a person, they're in space, they're isolated by themselves. Helping Hand. Oh, that's a pretty good descriptive title. And essentially, there's a part in that episode where I was like, oh my God. And in season two, I was just kind of like, oh, like animation's pretty cool. Like, this is cool, I guess. That said, though, John, if you get into some of the later episodes, there are 2 episodes, episode 3 and episode 7, that have really, really incredible animation. I guess Uncanny Valley is what you were talking about, but like, especially the Michael B. Jordan episode, it's episode 7, it's called Life Hutch. Honestly, there were times where I was like, is this animation or is this real? I have no idea.
Very nice.
And I really enjoyed that. But to be honest, I felt like the episode fell a little flat. No fault of Michael B. Jordan. I think I'm sure they did mocap or something for him. I think his physical acting was pretty good, but he didn't get to say much. And I thought that was a bit of a letdown. It was almost like watching Michael B. Jordan in space, but also Castaway, where there's like no dialogue the whole time.
Right.
Yeah. It follows along with what you were talking about in season 1. It's kind of a survival tactic. So you're really in this scene with one individual who's just trying to survive and trying to make it home.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to what Ridge said, I mean, Helping Hand, woman's in space by herself. You truly can kind of grasp how alone and by yourself you are in space. And she's basically forced to embark on this journey where the chance of survival is probably 0.1%. And maybe she prevails, maybe she doesn't. But that's the same thing we kind of see in this new piece with Michael B. Jordan. And right now, he's one of the hottest actors out right now. So it was actually kind of a surprise to see them use such a large name in this series.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I don't remember what it was, but they won an Emmy in 2019 for the first season. I can't remember what it specifically was for, probably best animated series or best animated anthologies, just like really, really specific award, but they won an Emmy. So, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. And then if I'm not mistaken, I'm actually familiar with the writers. I've heard their names before. Was it David Fincher? Let's see.
Like the David Fincher?
The David Fincher. I thought Nolan North, Tim Miller, and I could have and David Fincher is one of the executive producers. So so I mean, those are pretty big names in that arena at least. So It was backed quite, pretty well, I would say, especially from a production standpoint. So, overall, though, Thurman, let's just real quick, let's get your general thoughts on season 2. Would you recommend it? Would you like them to see add more episodes or do a new season? Or what do you think?
My opinion, I would definitely want them to add more episodes and maybe kind of whatever they put in place to make volume 2, do what they did with volume 1. I think I'm very Black Mirror kind of guy when it comes to shows and mind fucks, and I think that's what I loved about season 1. Season 2 gets a thumbs down for me. If I had to suggest it to anybody, I would definitely suggest that they watch season 1 first and then make their own assumptions of season 2.
Yeah.
Fun fact, FYI, Beyond the Aquila Rift, Aquila, whatever you want to call it, probably the best episode that's on season 1. I'm just going to say.
I'll have to go back and take a look in a moment when we're talking about the next section, just so I can remember that episode. John, obviously you didn't watch season 1. You have watched a little bit of season 2. Obviously, you watched that season to talk about it today. So my 2 questions for you are: do you intend to finish season 2? If not, do you intend to maybe check out season 1?
Season 1 is something I've been intending to watch ever since it came out. Just never gotten around to it.
It's only been 2 years.
Yeah, I know. So I'll definitely watch that, and I will probably finish out season 2. I mean, it's so short. The entire season is probably 3 hours or something like that.
Oh,
3 or 4 hours.
Season 2
is like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
An hour and a half. Yeah.
I literally was like, "Oh, it's over." Oh, okay.
Yeah. And for those watching, I mean, if you haven't looked at Love, Death, Robots, or you're considering it, each episode is no more than about 15 minutes apiece.
Yeah.
So it's very binge worthy in a day, or a good little lunch break. Watch something crazy. So
yeah. Exactly. These episodes are so short. They kind of reminded me of this old MTV show, and you guys, you youngins may not remember it, but Liquid Television on MTV. It's where Aeon Flux came from. I don't know if there's a movie came out a few years ago.
I do know what Aeon Flux is.
Yeah, it kind of spawned from that. It was like this animation anthology series, but each episode maybe had like 3 or so kind of stories that really didn't tie in together. But yeah, that's kind of what it kind of reminded me of.
Yeah. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. So for anybody that remembers that show, then you kind of get I haven't seen Love, Death, and Robots, you can get a kind of an idea of what to expect. The other thing that I'll point out is, if you're not familiar with an anthology, every single story, every single episode is completely different. So even if you just absolutely hate one, the next one is going to be so different, you might love it. So that's something that is unique to that kind of storytelling that, some you'll probably absolutely love and some you'll forget even existed. And who cares? It's only 15, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then you can move on. So, excuse me. Cool.
For sure. Which, if you watch Beyond the Aquila Rift, once again, this is actually on Reddit with conspiracy theories. Like, watch that episode at least. If you liked it, you'll start understanding why there's so many conspiracies behind what happened, what was going on. So
yeah, one thing that I'll throw out just as a last point. I mean, and by the way, I recommend watching it. Like we said, that's my review. Watch it. Season 2 isn't as good as season 1, partly because you don't get as much, partly because it sounds like they're maybe just taking themselves a little too seriously. But the animation is still really great, and I think you can enjoy it. But the last little tidbit that I'll throw out, and this might be just a little bit like a for anyone else, Thurman, this might be something I just read a bit of a fan theory earlier that all of the episodes take place in the same universe. So think about that. Maybe upon a second rewatch, look a little closer, and you might kind of find, I think almost in reverse with the first episode with the robots kind of exploring, what used to be human civilization. Anyway, we'll think about that. If you've seen the show before, maybe that's a new little tidbit. And then we are going to move on. So the second segment that I want to jump into is one that I think is going to be enjoyable. Geez, we're all going to enjoy it because I think it's going to add some content here. And honestly, this kind of conversation is really the reason I wanted to have this kind of thing, this podcast, is to make some recommendations to each other. I'm going to call this the JDR, the Just Dropped Recommendations. Name maybe needs to change, but we'll get into that. And then the other thing I think is interesting is, anyone that's watching, the viewers can kind of use this opportunity to get in on the same, the conversation as well. So you can use justdroppedpodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email if you want to make a recommendation for something maybe we didn't watch or we didn't recommend, and then we can maybe talk about it in a future episode. So we really appreciate that. So with that said, said, John, if you want to jump in, do you have any just dropped recommendations for the group here?
Oh, well, I don't think it's just dropped. I don't know when the second season premiered, but I've been watching the show on Apple TV. It's only been the first few episodes, but it's called Mythic Quest.
Okay.
Some people that were in It's Always a Sunny in Philadelphia. I think Charlie Day is one of the writers. It has Ahmed Daniel Putty from Community in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels very much like Silicon Valley from HBO, but about a gaming company. So it's basically the chronicles of this game dev company that's making this like WoW type game.
Yeah.
And so it's been really funny so far. Like they have this one character that's kind of recurring. He's this like 12-year-old streamer. And he rates everything by buttholes. so he gives it, a four butthole is like his seal of approval.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So
cool. Well,
I definitely recommend that because, like I said, it kind of covers like a few different niches, like the gaming community, tech, and then just it's just good comedy too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm gonna give your recommendation 4 buttholes. Thurman, what about you? Any just dropped recommendations?
Man, I don't know if this just dropped or if I think it just dropped streaming wise again. But if you haven't seen The Wrong Missy with Adam Sandler,
okay,
I watched about half of it.
What? How'd you? What?
So listen, I love that you're recommending this because this is a movie that I saw come out, and I literally might have said out loud, "I'm not fucking watching that." So explain why would you recommend we watch it?
So Adam Sandler. So first off, Adam Sandler, he produces such great, wholesome, funny movies. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's an Adam Sandler movie. It's something you'll see, DVDs in the case or in the bucket at Walmart, whatever. But this one I actually found to be like extremely hilarious. Basically, he meets a woman, her name's Missy, and it's a horrible date. Well, as he's leaving, he ends up meeting another woman at an airport. They miss their flight. They kind of hit it off real well. And they're like, hey, come see me. Let's do this. Well, he goes on this business trip in paradise. He's like the head honcho of his business or one of the top sales guys or whatever. And he can bring a +1. So he texts the girl that he met at the plane, but he actually ended up texting the wrong Missy.
Roll credits. Okay, sorry.
She takes it off. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, all right. I will watch it because you recommended it, but I'm not going to like it.
No, it's fine. I would love to hear, people's thoughts on my suggestions. I mean, This is like one of the few Adam Sandler movies that I would recommend. I liked Click. I don't know if anybody else liked Click or The Cobbler. I thought that was all right.
I love The Cobbler.
I heard I did not like Click, but I did hear, I haven't watched it yet, but I heard that Uncut Gems is actually legitimately a good movie on Netflix.
I need to finish it, but like where I'm at so far, there's nothing special about it. So hopefully it gets special because it hasn't been special yet.
No.
So I'll say this because I actually went to go watch Uncut Gems in theaters, and with the right surround sound and speakers, I don't know how you like to have your movies watched. The entire movie is basically a masterpiece of a shit show. There's constant loud noises. Everything is fast paced and abruptly moving. This guy can never catch a break. I mean, you're going to have anxiety the entire movie, and there's no resolution at the end for you. I mean, I'm not giving away the end. I'm just saying you feel like you're going to be relieved of that anxiety.
Yeah.
No, you will still have it at the end. And I think that was the actual true intention of the movie.
Okay.
Was this fast-paced New York City lifestyle of being a gym salesman. So
yeah. It got incredible reviews. People were loving it. I mean, I think Adam Sandler won some awards, and he like his acceptance speech. By the way, if you haven't seen it, is really funny. You should watch it. But yeah, I don't know. Adam Sandler, he's like the hot cake of comedy movies. He they're just flying off the shelf, and it's just like same shit, different day. So I'll watch The Wrong Missy. I'll finish Uncut Gems, but We'll get back to that discussion a little bit later, maybe in a future episode. And again,
What was your movie suggestion?
I hadn't suggested it yet. I'm going to jump into it. But again, if you've seen any of these movies, make a comment. Let us know what you think about them. Or like I said, if there's anything you would like us to talk about next time or watch, send us an email. We'll talk about it again at the end, how you can reach us, and also you could just make a comment on the video. So my recommendation is The Woman in the Window. So the reason that I'm recommending that movie, not only did it kind of fit that category, right? It did just drop. It's on Netflix. You can watch it right now. It's got a pretty incredible cast. It's Amy Adams, Julianne Moore, Gary Oldman, Anthony Mackie, Wyatt Russell.
Incredible cast.
What?
I said, it has an incredible cast.
Yeah, so the cast is great. I mean, if you've seen the Alfred Hitchcock movie Rear Window, it certainly has various aspects of that. I mean, it's got, it's about a woman that's agoraphobic, and she is in her house, and she's sort of watching her neighbors, and then some chaos ensues. I'm not going to give anything away. I definitely recommend watching it. The acting is great. The dialogue is great. I know John knows this. I am huge on dialogue. If the dialogue is bad, I hate your movie. So the dialogue is great. All the performance is really good. And then, obviously it's a movie that's got twists and turns, and I am usually very good at going, oh, it's this. Well, okay, well, if it's not that, then it's this. And I usually, land pretty early on what the answer is, or, what the twist is going to be. And this movie kept me guessing, and I was wrong all the way up until the end. So that was really, really nice. So there are certainly aspects of the movie that are familiar, especially to Rear Window, but lots of differences and new content that hopefully viewers will enjoy. So I really liked it. I thought it was definitely worth watching. It is a bit long.
You said agoraphobic. Is that fear of holes?
Agoraphobic is you're afraid to go outside.
What's the fear of holes?
I don't know.
Aggro?
Aggro, that might be the people that are deathly afraid of the top of Xbox Series X's.
Yeah.
The thing,
got a lot of little dots. Okay, well,
yeah.
I mean, I don't have any strange fears that I'm aware of. Maybe I am afraid of holes. I don't know. The movie with Zero and
trypophobia is what
not even close then.
At all.
And okay, great. So that's my recommendation, and then we're going to jump into the big topic. We've got plenty of time left, and I think everybody is excited to talk about this. We haven't talked about this at all. I want to spend as much time on it as we can, but we do want to make sure we do a non-spoiler spoiler section. It's a brand new movie. There's going to be tons of people watching it, and of course, the movie that we're talking about is Zach Snyder's The Army of the Dead, starring hilariously Dave Bautista, Amari Hardwick,
not The Rock.
Hold on.
Ridgehead.
Tig Notaro, and literally no one else.
Pretty much.
Every person I saw was like, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? And the answer is they're nobody.
No shame to this guy, but I looked at the cast and I looked it up, and there's a guy on there. Let me see if I can find his name. Lion Beckwith. And I want to know how I missed this guy in the entire movie.
Oh.
Lion Beckwith.
I don't know. I'll have to pull it up. But while we're doing that, let's start the discussion. So what like I said, we're going to split up our thoughts, try to do in our general feedback, just thoughts, general feedback, and then we'll jump into the spoiler section. So I think John.
So Ridge, real quick, did you mention Garrett Dillahunt as your people that were in the movie? I don't recall if you did or not.
No, I didn't. I'm not familiar with that person.
Oh, he's amazing. He was in Deadwood as a few characters. Like he's been in a ton of stuff.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
He's actually in the Fear of the Walking Dead.
Okay. Well,
so he's actually a pretty well traveled character actor.
Fair enough, but he's just one of those people that I probably am aware of that person. Like if I saw him, but I wouldn't be like, oh, that's so and so. Amari Hardwick, Dave Bautista, Tig Notaro. Like I know those people. I could say who they are. If I have to Google you, you might as well not exist, as far as I'm concerned. So, John, I'm going to let you go first. It was your recommendation that we talk about this. So, like I said, non-spoilers. Let's just do overall thoughts, what you liked, what you didn't like, whether you'd like to see a sequel, that kind of stuff. And then if you want, go ahead and score it out of 10.
Yeah, so I think my first thought about this movie is it could have used a bit more tightening up. Like the editing was a bit not there. Like this movie didn't need to be 2.5 hours long. That was my main complaint. Like this movie probably could have been an hour and 45 minutes, and it would have been fine. Um, I don't know where they would have brought that out because obviously, with the Snyder cut coming out, we know that Zack Snyder likes to make long, drawn out movies.
Yeah.
I overall I liked Dave Bautista as a lead. I felt he was fine carrying the movie. I feel like early in the movie, and we'll get to this, but the movie lost me in my caring about any of the characters.
Okay, yeah.
So that was an issue.
Okay.
But in general, I don't think this is going to be spoiler at all. I'm not the biggest fan of fast zombies either.
You like the George Romero blue collar zombie.
Yeah, technically, I know that they are probably more fearsome, more dangerous than a slow shambling zombie. But with the genre of zombies, I think that is like dealing with the horde, dealing with the giant mass. One zombie isn't anything to be scared of. But if you have 10, 20, 100,000 of them, that's when they become a problem. Right. So I do have a lot of thoughts about this movie, but a lot of them are kind of spoiler heavy. Yeah. If I had to rate this movie, I would kind of rate it about a 6.5 out of 10. Like it was it's above average for a zombie movie, but it's not one of the best.
Okay, cool. So Thurman, let's do the same thing. General feedback, your thoughts, give it a rating.
I'll kind of agree a little bit with Jay over there where, in the very beginning, I didn't know what cast members to grasp a hold of because I didn't know who was really going to be carrying the movie. Of course, Dave Bautista, but you don't know who his supporting team's going to be. I thought it was a pretty good movie. It kind of struck me as one of those kind of like Zombieland, where like it's kind of a crazy movie, but it's also pretty good. And it's just one of those, hey, if you haven't watched this, you need to at least watch it once. I was a big fan of kind of the storyline as well. They're trying to they've got these zombies in Las Vegas and they can, go in here and bust in these casinos and do all this stuff and get money, but it does come at a risk. I think they built quite a few of the characters well, with the exception of one or two, which I'll say for the spoilers because I can't stand that motherfucker. That's gender neutral, so we're good there. I'm a fan of fast zombies. I don't know where we got the slow zombies from because, if we had a zombie apocalypse now and the zombies were slow, I can't say that I wouldn't live my natural life. Now, I get where a swarm could, but like 28 days later when that came out, I became a zombie lover. Now, that's terrifying, that these fuckers can run that fast and jump that high, but it's what makes a zombie, and that survival more survival.
I will say, I actually don't mind the zombies in 28 Days Later because they're not like Return from the Dead zombies. So they kind of like in my brain, like, okay, they're not like classic, Rise, the Living
That's a good
Dead.
point. That's a good point because they were radioactively contaminated, whereas these guys were murdered and then brought back to life. I'll leave it at this. I, all in all, will give the movie I'll say a 7.8.
Wow. Okay.
And I definitely predict a sequel coming because there'll be a few pieces that you notice when they killed these zombies. There's a few pieces behind that indicate that there might be another mix to the story, but
perfect.
I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. We can get that into the spoiler section. So I'm interested to hear both of those things. But yeah, I'll jump into mine. So I seem to have liked this movie a little less than you guys did. I thought this movie sucked. I thought it was terrible.
Is it because you thought The Rock was in it?
Yeah. I'm never going to live that down.
But it's because he doesn't like the Fast and Furious movies.
No. All right. So I'll get into why. I'm just going to rate it off the bat. I'm going to give the movie a 4.5 out of 10. I did not like it at all. So Thurman Yoza. So for me, and I said this a little bit earlier, and we're going to find as we do more of these, this is something I'm going to harp on a lot. The dialogue was terrible. It was awful. And then in the parts where it wasn't like awful, it was just the exact same kind of delivery and the exact same kind of lines and the exact same kind of sentiment that you get in every movie. There was nothing unique about it. It was I mean, look, this movie is a zombie heist movie, which sounds awesome on paper. And within that zombie heist movie, you've got the range of characters with varying backgrounds that have a history that they give you via a montage, which is fine. Okay, whatever, I'll take that. And then you've got a weird love triangle, and then a father trying to win back his daughter's love or whatever. That's the whole movie. So all of that is totally fine. But outside of that, we talked about the fast zombies. We'll get to that. I think that's I hate that part, and I'll explain why when we get to the spoilers. Outside of that, there was nothing unique about this movie, in my opinion, at all. And the writing, which apparently Zach Snyder did himself, was it. Not only did it feel like it was written for like a small town play, a lot of the delivery of those lines also felt like they were reading off of a script, like it was in front of them, especially the first 5-10 minutes. I almost turned it off at 3 minutes, even though I needed to watch it to talk about it. 3 minutes in, the delivery of the lines was so bad that I could have done better. And I am not an actor. I have no acting experience, but I could have done it better. I don't understand how somebody like Zack Snyder, who has made a bunch of pretty damn good movies, would allow for something like that. It felt rushed. It felt childish in the writing. And again, I didn't find anything special about the movie. Mostly it was just silly and stupid, is my opinion of this movie. So I gave it the rating. Would I like to see a sequel? Yes, because I think Zack Snyder does a good job when he gets a second try. So I'd love to see that. Overall, I would say if it wasn't 2.5 hours, watch the movie. You're not going to be mad you watched it. But 2.5 hours, that's 2.5 hours you're never going to get back. So I would not recommend watching this movie. Cool.
I will also say, too, there are areas in there where I felt it was rushed, because in a typical movie of any sort, there's always the mission, and then in the mission, there's the explanation breakdown of how something works. So you watch other movies and they do like, here's how we're going to escape. We got to be careful of this zombie, that zombie, this. What if we run into this? Whereas in this movie, it was like, boom, we're faced with this issue. Oh, now I'm going to explain to you what this is. And I felt like I wasn't being prepped for what was to come. And it was like, I was kind of chasing understanding what was going on. So
yeah. Also, one of the other things that I didn't like about this movie is unfulfilled promises. I feel it sets up certain things that had a potential to be really cool, and then just never kind of revisits them again.
That's a really great segue. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you haven't watched the movie and you don't want it to be spoiled, I don't want you to turn it off, but you should probably turn it off. Come back later, listen to our discussion, and add to it. Go watch it, come back. But we're going to jump into spoilers. John, what are you talking about here?
So what I'm talking about, and this kind of peeved me off because I was expecting it to maybe come back, was when they first go in, they talk about all those like dehydrated zombies. And they're like, oh, when it rains, they come back to life for a minute.
I thought,
it's like, oh man, that'd be cool. Like, oh, they're going to be trying to get out. There's going to be a thunderstorm. They got to get through, this horde of, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 zombies. But no, they just like, oh, they come back to life.
Yeah, it was
whatever.
Yeah, it was just like a side note, just like it was like a cliff note, and then they moved on.
I feel it was like it had to be like a cut for budget reasons. Like it might have been in the original script, but it was like, we don't have the money to really do that. So I feel like they should have just not even brought that up.
Yeah,
as a possibility instead of like setting some expectations on possibilities.
For sure. And that reminds me too is the whole the helicopter lady, like the plane is fucked up, blows up, smoke. This woman has no real tools, and she just doesn't tell her team that's in this casino of zombies that it's fucked. And then out of nowhere, it's working, and then it blows up. She only needs 5 minutes, and then it's working again. Like,
yeah. Well, that's a really good point. A point to make on this. I don't know if you guys realize this, but they put Tig Notaro in the movie in post. They filmed the whole movie with the original guy, and then he got fired after he did all his scenes, and then they put her in post. But John, was it you that told me that?
Was that
no?
was that Chris D'Elia?
Yeah, that was him.
So
I didn't tell you. I was going to ask you guys if you knew that and if you noticed it, because I didn't know. I didn't find out until afterwards, and watching it, I didn't really pick up that she was not in the movie.
So the CG was incredible, but I think that some of the stuff that we're talking about and like the limited stuff that she does and how like disconnected her conversation with everyone else felt, it was definitely a result of this issue, I think. So I think that's part of it. The thing that I want to point out about this movie, spoiler wise, is there were a bunch of scenes, and I can't remember them all, but there was a bunch of scenes where like something would happen and it was setting up like some pretty bad shit was going to happen. And then like, they just like, were like, never mind. So like the helicopter pilot, for example, she like left them. And then
why?
For like,
first of all,
for like 15 seconds. And then she's like, just kidding, I'm back. Also, it's a fucking helicopter. That shit's loud. They would have heard her. They were like, oh my God, she's gone. And she's like, ha ha ha, just kidding. And like, that was really stupid to me. So things like that in the movie, I think is some of the stuff that I think John was mentioning earlier, like completely cut that out. Cut it out. It didn't need to be in the movie. It added an extra like 3 minutes. We didn't need it. It was fake suspense. I don't like that. That was really dumb to me. Another good example would be the like the weird back and forth between Omari Hardwick, I don't remember his character's name, and then like the German safecracker guy. There was some weird back and forth going on, like, and I felt like, were they just like supposed to become best friends? Like, were they into each other? I don't really care what they were wanting to point out, but it never turned into anything. I mean, I guess there was like,
well, it paid off because
but in the reverse way that it's supposed to, right? It was Omari Hardwick's character that didn't like him early on, and it was supposed to be through his like happy-go-lucky, mannerisms and character traits and stuff, and then like he like learned to like the guy. Obviously, throughout the movie, he was kind of like taking care of him and stuff and helping him fight, whatever. But then but then the safecracker saved him. Mm-hmm. Also, he shut it. How the hell did dude get out?
Well, I guess my thing is I could understand if there was some way to open it from the inside because there's a fail safe. It is a safe. Fair enough. Why didn't the German guy just jump in and pull it closed with him?
That's because he wouldn't have died and it wouldn't have created any drama. That's why.
So dumb. Yeah. And then also they were getting money out of there. Why did they stick behind to get more money with these zombies clearly about to fall down the elevator shaft? Now I'm doing this spoiler. I kind of want to go back and change my rating.
I know. It's a silly movie. Okay.
We kind of hanging off a little bit. I kind of want to go talk about something that I did like about this movie,
sure, specifically.
And it's kind of a trend with Zach Snyder, I feel like, with the kind of the opening montage from The Watchmen. It was kind of similar in this, where I feel like it was really well done. I feel like he told a more complete character developed movie in that 5-minute montage.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say this, and also a total ripoff from Zombieland. Just like a copy and fucking paste. I was like, this is Zombieland, and Zombieland did it better. But at the same time, yeah, like that 5-minute montage was a better movie than the movie, and that's sad.
Well, and can we also talk about John, the fucking zombie royalty? Oh, there's like low-class zombies, and then there's high-class zombies.
Also, who was the main zombie? Who's the main king zombie? Was he one of the zombies from the beginning?
I think he was the one from that was in that like
but they never told us. Thing. They never told us what was the point of that whole intro scene, especially since the dialogue and the acting was dog shit.
Yeah, and he's got a bulletproof helmet, like.
Oh yeah, well, because they're like kind of smart.
Yeah, that kind of ties into. I think this movie, once it got going, tried to be too many things. It tried to be a heist movie, tried to be a zombie movie, tried to be like I Am Legend movie.
Yeah,
tried to be too many things. It should have concentrated on a couple of other, like 2 out of those 3 or 4 things. Yeah, to really concentrate and deliver on.
Especially since it felt kind of like a video game. because the big bad like that you find in like things like Marvel movies or whatever, but the big bad that the boss fight at the end was like a literal boss fight. And I thought that was interesting. I mean, look, you have machine guns and all this stuff. Like, I recognize you have to shoot him in the head, but like there's a lot of ways to like incapacitate a zombie that doesn't require you shooting him in the head. Also, how about the back of his head?
Yeah, I didn't know what the back of his head was looking like.
It was a mask, basically. So like that was kind of silly. The thing that I didn't like about the zombie royalty thing was like it was a plot device, so they could get their way in and not have to fight hordes of zombies. I mean, that was basically the point of that. But because otherwise it didn't really turn into anything. It was a little bit of like, you killed my wife, you chopped her head off. But like, I only kind of care. Also, she had a baby in there. That makes no sense.
And just zombie fucking left and right.
Well, maybe he was working to like build a world, that he can further explore later, and like, he had to set the ground rules or whatever for that. But it just felt really out of place. And like John was saying, or I think maybe you, Thurman, it's like a lot of this stuff was just totally unnecessary. They didn't need to do it. The zombie baby was just gross. It didn't add to the story at all.
That being said, check this out. If you notice, when they had the zombie baby, it was pretty much like this embryo, and there's like this blue light kind of running through it before it dies out. But if you also go back and look, when they shoot some of these zombies, not all of them, but quite a few of them, this blue matter comes from their head, just like when they killed the master zombie at the end, or no, when he killed Dave Bautista at the end. Big spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Blue matter comes from his head. So that leads me to believe like there's some kind of connectivity between the master zombie and all the other zombies.
Like a hive mind kind of thing.
Exactly, which leads me to assume that maybe there's a way to come up with the second one, because that hive mind, maybe one or two of them survive. One was down in the bunker, because I don't know.
If this movie makes money, and I'm sure that it will, if it makes good money, that Dave Bautista dying, again, spoiler, I said we were in the spoiler section, was a combination of him being able to get out of this contract and not have to make another one if it sucks, and some bullshit plot device thing that will allow him to come back in the next one. And he'll be some sort of like, I kind of still remember because I love my daughter, smart zombie.
That's what I thought they were going to come out of the blue with that movie Skyline. If anybody remembers that, where I won't spoil, that movie's old. Fuck you if you haven't watched it. Where at the end he becomes an alien, but his wife is pregnant, so he actually like is fighting off the aliens.
Yeah,
that's where I thought they were going, but they blew his head off.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the Zach Snyder-y things that happen in the movie, some of the slow motion.
Well, I mean, the zombie baby is a very Zach Snyder-y thing because he loves his zombie babies.
Well, because there's a zombie baby in the 2004
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. Which, here's another thing that I want to point out. Something I noticed. I didn't actually realize that Zach Snyder was directed that movie until earlier today when I was doing a little bit of research. But I've seen that movie. What is his fascination with like off-tempo covers of popular songs? What is that? So in all of his movies, he's got like these popular songs that I've heard, that I know the words and the lyrics, but it's not the original artist. It's like some other artist. So for example, there's something that I remember, and I haven't seen the movie in, almost 20 years. Is in the 2004 Dawn of the Dead, which I actually like, by the way. There is there's like a rendition of Down with the Sickness by Disturbed, and it's like a show tune. I'm not going to sing it for you. Go check it out. It's really strange, but Zack Snyder does this in a lot. He did it in the Snyder cut of Justice League. There are like these popular songs that like people have heard, but the songs are like different tempo covers, and I don't understand. Is it like a royalties thing? Like he loves the song, but he wants to use it, but he doesn't want to pay them, or like what's his deal? You guys never notice that?
I hadn't noticed it before, but I imagine it's got to be something that just it takes something familiar like a song that you may know, but then kind of introduces an element of newness by making it a different tempo, different singer, that type of thing. I mean, it's probably just something he gets off on, that he enjoys.
He's got to, because you need to look it up after we get off of here. Just look up Dawn of the Dead, Down with the Sickness, and you'll be like, what is this? Even if you don't like the original song's much better than that nonsense.
I listened to the first one. I'm about to kind of play this one slowly in my ear because I think I know the song.
Yeah.
And then after hearing the montage of it on Dawn of the Dead, I'm like, yeah, I have no fucking idea. Wow, that's a good ear.
Yeah, well, I pick up on stuff like that a lot. I'm like, oh, I know this song, and my wife's really good at it as well. She always, see what I mean? It's like a show tune. I don't like it. It's stupid. I mean, it does tend to fit, but he also picks usually slower versions of the songs, and he has like this contrast between like what's happening in the movie and the music. So it's like this crazy, well, usually slow motion, like zombies' heads exploding, and then like a show tune playing. So I don't know if him and Quentin Tarantino like get together on the weekends and talk about weird versions of slow songs or what, but he seems to include that in a lot of his stuff. I need to go back and watch a few Zack Snyder movies to see if that's the case. I'm trying to think if it happens in Watchmen, because I've seen Watchmen several times. I don't know. The era that Watchmen, one of the eras that Watchmen is in, it lends itself to that kind of music. So. When it's like what, the 50s or the 60s that the first Watchmen is set in, John?
The 80s.
Is it the 80s? Okay, well,
yeah.
What do I know? I thought it was older than that for some reason.
I mean, part of it takes place during the Vietnam War, which would be like late 60s.
Okay.
But the proper time frame of that movie is the 80s.
Right. I meant like the OG Watchmen, like when the comedian is young.
Oh yeah, that's like 40s, 50s.
Okay, I thought so.
60s.
So there's a lot of music. A lot of that music is like that's the music. You're like, I love this song. Anyway, so okay, we're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. Any last thoughts on the movie, John? Would you like to see a sequel?
I would. One thing I wanted to talk about though before we end here is. Well, I kind of mentioned it before the spoilery section, was how there was a really specific time in the movie that happened that I just stopped caring about any of the characters. This happened kind of right when they enter Las Vegas, and Bert, the asshole rent-a-cop from outside, like I get it, he was an asshole, but they on screen, unless I missed it, I don't really get. They didn't show us that he was like a predator or like some despicable human. She kind of mentioned that when they were inside, but they didn't show it.
Yeah.
But the fact that everyone was just cool with someone that they brought in on a good faith, job, just feed to zombies as an offering. Like I was like, I don't like any of these characters. They're all assholes. Like I'm not gonna cry at all when any of these people die.
Well, I'm not gonna trust this bitch. Like she just
the
made
coyote,
that story up.
The coyote, yeah. Well, she did say that he was a rapist or whatever, which, like you said, they didn't show that, and honestly, I'm kind of glad that they didn't. But also the $20,000, I was a little confused by that. So like, was she getting money? Because I missed that transaction, and then she was like, "Want to make 20 grand?" And he's like, "20 grand? I'm despicable." So like, I didn't really get that part. Like, where was that money gonna come from? So out of the gate, I didn't know what was going to happen to him, but I was like, they're just lying to that dude. He's not making 20 grand.
Right. And then the same group kind of reinforced that opinion of mine when the Gita, the kind of the YouTube guys, like friends, like, and honestly, that was probably the coolest like action scene of the movie. Her like fighting through like off these like hundreds of zombies, and then like she breaks through the window. And there's like two standing around her, and they're like, "Oh, it's too late. She's already dead." There's only like 5 around her.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because I was going to say that earlier and I forgot. That is the best scene in the movie. Is when she, first of all, I literally thought to myself, okay, what is this movie trying to do? That we have so much zombie content. I mean, if you think about The Walking Dead, which by the way I am a big fan of, I like it. I still like it. My wife likes it. We watch it live now. I've seen the series a couple times. The two things that they did was like that weird like alpha zombie thing, which I think was stupid and it didn't add to the movie at all. That was the one thing. But the other thing they did is like people lasted a lot longer. in fights with the zombies, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of new because I thought that lady was going to be dead in like 2 zombies.
But she was probably the baddest ass of the group.
Yeah,
to be
she
honest.
killed like 50 zombies. She killed so many. Those guns have like clips like this long. She just kept shooting.
She was just railing them.
Yeah, and then she like pull her knife out. I was like, yes, like I like this. I hope she lives, and I hope she kills whatever that guy. What was he? Oh, he was getting their head. That was stupid. It didn't need that part. Why did the guy from Mortal Kombat need that head? They didn't get into that enough. So yeah, which I really do like that actor. I just don't know his name. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I forgot about it until just now. I love that. Was her name Baby Girl or something?
Her name was Gita.
No, Gita was the girl that was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Oh, who was she then?
When you said Gita, I was confused at first.
Okay, yeah.
She's
didn't
wearing
sound like
a necklace that said
name.
Baby Girl on it, I noticed.
It must have been Maria.
Okay, well.
No, Maria was the bitch that lost her daughter.
Oh, shit, I don't know. Maybe she's not on the main page of the cast then because I'm not seeing her on here.
Is it Chambers?
We gotta figure this out. One thing I hate about listening to podcasts is when people don't like, oh, we don't know the information, so we're gonna get it. Chambers, yeah, Samantha Wynn Chambers.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
Marked it. And honestly, I was reluctant when she bust out the window. I got a little tight in my pants. I was like, this is what we need. Yay for equality. And then they just let her fucking get off.
Right. When there's like 3 zombies around her, like oh, it's too late. We got to go.
Like I'd even went over there and be like, let me help you out.
Before we wrap this up though, so I totally agree with that. I'm so glad you mentioned it. But before we wrap that out, the last thing I just thought of was Guzman. That dude's like boyfriend or whoever it was, the YouTube guy. They were calling him Goose, and I'm totally fine with that. But how long do you hang out with somebody before you get a nickname? You know what I mean? Like he had a nickname like in like an hour.
Yeah, Goose. Yeah, I guess that's true.
They were like, Goose, come on, Guzman, Goose. And I'm like,
and honestly,
is that not what his like YouTube channel was he referred to?
No, it was like Guzman 69, something stupid, 420 YOLO. I don't know what it was, but
yellow swag money bucks.
Yeah, eat at Arby's. I don't know what it was, but
before we leave, also last piece.
Yeah.
When old girl was doing her thing and getting fucked up by the zombies, as they watched her get fucked up and they left her, she had 5 seconds to be like, yo, that dude sold me out and fucked up. He's up to some bullshit. And all she did was like, do it. And I'm like, no, I'm snitching. My last 6 seconds of life, I'm snitching on you. Like, I didn't even started some shit. So-and-so fucked your girl. Like, yeah, I mean, something.
They already gave her the shortcut to tell Goose, right? You didn't have to call him Guzman. Anyway, cool. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I think we had a really great first episode. I want to continue to do this. Again, for anyone watching, if you want to get a hold of us, obviously you can use the comment section of the video, but you can also reach out to us on Gmail. It's justdroppodcast@gmail.com. Send us thoughts, whatever you would like. We'll read that, and maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode. And then I have to do the obligatory, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like what we're doing. If not, that's okay. Leave us a thumbs down and an angry comment. We really don't care.
Nah, fuck that. You look at me. You look at me. You look at me. You like it. You subscribe. Send us an email on something to talk about. We're just getting started.
Cool. All right. See you guys.